Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. We are here to talk with the fine folks from Center for Hospice Care. And first up in our first segment, Jennifer Wheelahun. She is a events and annual appeal manager. It's her first time on the show, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I think sort of a general definition. I think people have heard the word hospice care, but what is it?
Hospice care is quality end-of-life care for anyone who's facing a life-limiting illness. We also provide bereavement services, which help families and loved ones after someone has passed. And those folks can participate in our program whether or not they've had somebody on our hospice program. So we serve over 700 patients throughout a year, and over 500 families are loved ones in our bereavement programs.
And I think hospice in general is something that's gaining popularity. People are preferring to have their final days with loved ones, maybe at home, as opposed to in the hospital or somewhere that they can't be as close with their loved ones, right?
True. You know, we want people to know that they have choices, that they can have some type of choice over how those last few months go, and whether they are able to spend it in their home and with family or not. And, you know, for us, for people to get on our program sooner rather than later, you know, not the last week of life, but maybe the last couple months, so that we have a wide array of services to be able to provide to you as a patient, but also to your family for some respite.
Now, that's hospice, but the Center for Hospice Care is where you are specifically, and that basically serves Southeast Connecticut, correct?
We do. We do all of New London County. We provide services too.
Now, hospice, so then there are other locations throughout the state too, right?
There are other hospice providers, but we are the only Center for Hospice Care serving all of Southeastern Connecticut. And we're a nonprofit, which separates us from other
And Center for Hospice Care actually is sort of a merger from, it used to be called something else, correct?
Yes, Hospice Southeastern Connecticut. 2 years ago, we revamped our brand and switched over to Center for Hospice Care to give it a little bit more of an umbrella and to accentuate the fact that we provide much more than hospice care. We provide palliative care, which is people who are diagnosed with a life-limiting illness but are still seeking treatment, so that we can keep them out of the hospital, so that we can keep them at home with their loved ones. So, you know, we provide a variety of services, so we kind of wanted to put it under a more encompassing name.
Do you find hospice care in general is growing? You know, like I had mentioned, people are opting for it more. It's like it's just more of a desirable method of sort of, you know, last days and, like you said, last weeks, months of life.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I do. I think people are looking to have quality in the days that they have, and to be able to spend that with the people they love versus maybe in a treatment facility or a more clinical environment, and surrounded by people who care about them. And we offer a variety, like I said, a variety of services from, you know, we have over 140 volunteers who help provide pet therapy to patients and families, Sentimental Journeys, which is a program where people can kind of decide that they want to do something towards the end of their life, and we kind of coordinate that with the ambulance service, and they're able to go out and maybe experience something with their family that they wouldn't normally be able to do, so that they can have that memory, and their loved ones can have that memory.
And pet therapy is the dog or will come in with the
Yes.
and sit with the person and
Yes.
be with them for a while. That's great.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And, you know, we've seen it in patients who haven't been responsive, that it's a calming effect. And family members like it too. You know, if they don't have a pet, it's kind of a nice thing to have come into your home.
I think it's great. One thing that we were talking about off the air was, as far as I want to get into the bereavement services too. That could be used even with, you know, school-age children. You can actually go into the school and provide bereavement counseling, right?
Absolutely. We have a wide variety of bereavement services, everything from adults to children. We also have a program that's called Expressive Arts, and that we have an art therapist on staff who does creative outlets for grief for children. And we just expanded that program outside of our Norwich office into the Mystic area in September, into the and are able to help kids in that area so they don't have to travel as far. A big blocker for families is really sort of that transportation and getting them after school and that sort of thing. And we do go into the schools. We just started a program where we can go into the schools and counselors and teachers identify kids who may have lost someone so that we can provide it right there. Teachers have a lot on their plates, and being able to provide that service in the schools is invaluable.
How does bereavement work? Because everybody experiences losing a loved one, and in the past you deal with it, you compartmentalize it, and eventually it doesn't ever go away for someone that you love, but you're able to eventually get on with your life. Basically, what does bereavement do? Actually, does it basically allow someone for you to talk with and just kind of be emotional with, maybe a little bit?
I think so. I think everybody deals with grief in a different way, and that time frame is unique to everyone. So we provide, outside of our bereavement services, our counseling services, stay in contact with families throughout the entire year so that you're able to go through all of the holidays without your loved one
that's
together.
A tough time.
It is. It's definitely a hard time. So we provide that contact to just check in and say, how are you doing? How are things going? Did you need our bereavement services at this time? Because some people might be coming out of a loss and feel like, oh, I've got family and blah, blah, blah around me. But 6 months from now, people have kind of, gone on with their life, and that person might still be dealing with that grief. So that might be the time that they're ready to come in for counseling or for an expressive arts group. We have expressive arts group for adults too. Some people are just creative, and so that gives them an outlet too.
November is National Hospice Month. What is that?
It's a national recognition of hospice care. We have done things traditionally in the past, a few things to highlight it. And last year we did sort of a Facebook. Everybody is into social media, so we did sort of a Facebook approach to the month, highlighting some of the things that we offer, and if there was anything new or exciting coming up, we highlighted that too. So we're looking forward to doing that again this year.
Events and annual appeal manager. That's an interesting title. What does it mean?
I coordinate all of our community outreach events, particularly the fundraisers. We have a walk every year in May, usually the Sunday after Mother's Day, and it's a memory walk. So it's a fundraiser, but it also brings a lot of our families together with our staff who've cared for them over the years. But we are about 400 strong in that walk, held at Mohegan Park every year.
How did this year's go?
This year's was fantastic. It was a record-breaking year.
Oh, good.
So
the weather cooperated.
Weather cooperated. You always cross your fingers because that's the one thing you can't control. Right. But it turned out wonderful, and we had a great turnout.
The goal is always to get a little bit more than the year before. Is that right?
It is, and we surpassed our goal. So we're very fortunate to have a lot of community support. And we also have a regatta series. We work with a number of yacht clubs in the area who do races for us and sort of parties that raise money. Usually it's been because they've lost somebody, whether it's in their membership or in their families, to participate. And then I think we have one more thing coming up in December, which we're very excited about. It is a benefit concert. Dick Campo, who's a local
musician, got a band, right?
Yep. Dick Campo's big band. He's doing a benefit concert for us on December 5th, and we're excited about that. It's going to be at the Mystic Marriott. Tickets are going to be $75 a person. It's going to include heavy hors d'oeuvres, dancing, and music. So we're excited about that, and you can find all that on our website.
Now, these events that you do, they're fundraising events, and they're also designed to sort of maybe generate awareness, correct?
Absolutely. The more people we can touch with our message and mission, the better, because I think people, to the point earlier, wait so long to get hospice care that...
What's the reason for that?
I think, one, it's a difficult conversation to have between clinicians and patients, but it's also a difficult decision for a family to make, to say, you know what, we're done with treatment, and now we just want to kind of extend the quality of life. I think that the more we can get out there and tell people, if you come to us sooner, we can do so much more for you and your family, the better.
Now, at these events, aside from the awareness and the fundraising aspect of it, I notice that people are always looking for volunteers. And I'm sure even an event coming up in a short while from now, you probably take as many volunteers as you can get, correct?
We do. We have two ways to become a volunteer. We obviously have volunteers who help us with events and special things like that. We have a lot of volunteer groups who actually host their own fundraisers for us, which is fantastic. But we also have volunteers who help us with the mission of our work. They're going out and visiting families, dropping off equipment, spending time with people, running errands, doing groceries, and that's about 100 strong. And we have trainings. We train people thoroughly. It's a
tough volunteer job to have,
It is, and you have to be prepared for it. So we have 2 volunteer classes a year, and they go through a training, and once they sort of graduate, they can be engaged in a variety of things that they could be interested in.
How do you, a person who volunteers for that, especially someone who volunteers to spend time with people, how do you not get emotional about it, and how do you not get attached, and how do you not walk away, feeling sad?
I think that there is a lot of training. We provide extensive training for our volunteers, but we also stay in touch with them. We have a volunteer office, and we've got 3 great people who work in that office to be able to stay in contact with our volunteers, to hear those stories when they come back, to answer those emails, to field those questions. I think it's being in touch with those volunteers so that they can kind of let that information go and be able to share it with us, so that if there's a time when they need to take a step back, we can give them that.
Now, so if people want to learn more, whether it be the volunteer aspects of it, or maybe being involved in some of the events that you have coming up, or maybe just want to learn a little bit more about hospice in general, what's a good website for them to go and learn more?
We have a great website. It's www.hospicesect.org, and you can find all the information there that you need from A to Z. You've got from patients to caregivers to volunteering, whatever you.
And you're even
for.
involved with social media too, right? Because that's where people are at, and so you have to kind of be there too, right?
We are. We have a very strong presence on Facebook. We have a lot of families who've connected with us on there, and sometimes share their stories, but also support what we do. We've got over 7,000 connections on Facebook, and we put a lot of things there because people are checking that sooner than they are maybe going to a website.
And it's a good networking opportunity and a good support structure there too. And I would imagine the links to all the social media are on the go right through the website, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Jennifer Wheelahun.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That name is a little tough, but thanks for being on the show today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take a break and come back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy, still chatting with the fine folks from Center for Hospice Care of Southeast Connecticut. In this segment, it's Liz Westcott. She's the Supervisor of Counseling Services. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Supervisor of Counseling Services, what exactly does that mean?
As part of the hospice team, we provide social work services to the patients and their family members. So we have a team of social workers that works with the nurses and the medical director and the volunteer team. And we go out and we assist patients and their family members with any social work services that they might need.
And what might some of those be? I mean, it seems like it could be an array of things, correct?
Yes, we go out initially and do an assessment with the patient and their family. And it could range from providing direct services like helping families with advanced directives and living wills, to looking at financial and legal resources that they may need to be referred to offering more traditional counseling services such as establishing a relationship with the patient and family and talking about various emotional states that they have as they approach their end of life.
Yeah, always a difficult part. You know, you mentioned financial. One of the things that we didn't get a chance to mention in the first segment was the free is key, free bereavement services. Talk about that a little bit, because it's important. People want to know, you know, how much these things will cost and how much of a financial burden it will be on them. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure, that's a question that most of us ask when we go for help and talk with providers. And our bereavement services and counseling services that we offer to families after somebody passes away are completely free of charge, and we offer groups for adults and groups for children, and it's all underwritten by the philanthropic efforts of our fundraising department in the community.
Right. And that's why some of these events that we talked about in the first segment exist, you know, as fundraising opportunities, right? You know,
Right,
so
absolutely.
for that, and as a social worker, do you ever get involved at all in the process of the volunteers that are involved too? Is there any kind of a crossover? Do you work with them at all or anything?
Yeah, we absolutely stay in touch with all of the team that provides services to family members, and we meet every week in a team, an interdisciplinary setting to discuss the needs of the patient and family and how we can all work together and communicate about how things are going and what we need to do to provide the highest quality of care and comfort.
Does that play into something that you guys are very proud of, and that's the team approach? Talk about that a little bit.
It is a wonderful feeling to work with such highly qualified people to provide such important care at the end of somebody's life. And as our executive director, Carol Mayer, that we only get one chance to help people in this capacity, and we have to do it right.
Yeah.
And the people that we work with are phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about them.
Now, aside from the the team approach, there's also an opportunity for one-on-one sessions if it's necessary and if it's warranted. That's also a possibility, right?
Absolutely. We have many family members who come in and meet with the bereavement team one-to-one or meet with the expressive arts therapist one-to-one prior to somebody passing away. They need some individual time, as well as the social workers. We spend a lot of time one-to-one with either the patient or the family member, talking about things that they may feel are private and they need to process on their own. So we're all trained to do that.
Now, I asked this question in the first segment, and I think this is a perfect question to ask you as a social worker, and that is the ability to be able, how do you end your day and walk away and not have such a weight on you after the work that you've put in with someone at their, ending of their life? I mean, how do you not get emotional? I suppose you do, but you just have to have the ability to I guess, compartmentalize it, but then also leave it there when you leave at the end of the day? How does that work?
Well, I think that speaks to, again, our team approach and the leadership and the administration, that we are aware that this is very difficult and challenging work, but it's also enormously rewarding. So many times throughout my life as a social worker, I've heard, I could never do what you do. And
Right.
what I always say to people is, you don't, what you think I do is hear problems, but you don't understand the power of helping people move through those problems. So we get enormous amounts of thank yous and expressions of gratitude
Yeah,
from
so
families.
in that case, you can walk away feeling really good about what you did, as opposed to being, sad that you're working with someone who is nearing the end of their life, right?
Right.
You've only enriched the end of their life by doing what you do, you and your staff.
Absolutely. And the other thing I just need to I need to say is that we have these two wonderful spiritual counselors, and we involve them regularly in all of our cases. So they open our meetings with their presence, and they add such richness to the work that we do.
And there's probably all kinds of people that are that take part in hospice with many different religious beliefs, and you do your best to accommodate them for those needs too, correct?
Absolutely, non-denominational work. They visit patients in their homes and provide whatever they can for them.
One thing that we haven't mentioned so far in all the work that the volunteers and the social workers and all that is the nurses. What is the role that they play in hospice?
They're critical. The patients are dealing with physical illnesses, and their expertise is incredibly valuable. And the nurses are available 7 days a week if necessary, sometimes more than once a week if they have to go out. And we have home health aides who are incredible as well. And we all collaborate in terms of the care that we give.
Now, hospice in general, some people might not understand. Is it a place that you go to? It can be in the home, it can be someplace else, it can be where the person wants it to be, right?
Absolutely, it's a great question. At this point, we work with families in their own home setting. We go to skilled nursing facilities. Sometimes we work with families in the 2 hospitals that are local. And sometimes people end up at a residential hospice, which we don't have at the moment here.
Right. And, you know, a lot of good things happening. There was some sort of a memorial garden that's just, talk about that. That puts a smile on your face, just me mentioning it.
It's so beautiful. It was funded by donations, and it was opened this spring at our facility at 227 Dunham Street in Norwich. It's a memory and healing garden, so people can come and have some moments of quiet and remember their loved ones, or just rest and talk with whomever. It's beautiful. You should come visit.
Yeah, there's probably good pictures. Hopefully we get to put some up here on the show, as you know, kind of roll it in as B-roll so people can see it. But yes, visiting it really will touch you. What's the address of it?
227 Dunham Street in Norwich.
All right. So yeah, go and check that out too. People that may still be curious about hospice in general, or what you guys do at the Center for Hospice Care of Southeast Connecticut, if they have any misgivings or maybe confused or misconceptions about it, what would you say to them?
I would say that people think of hospice as, oh, I'm terminally ill and my life is over. We extend people's lives. We're about quality of life at the end of life. So it doesn't have to be something that is seen so negatively. And I think many of our patients are ambivalent, of course, when they come onto the hospice program, but they feel so cared for by the staff and the nurses and the medical director and the whole team that they're so appreciative of how it affects the quality of their life.
All right. Let's take one more break and come right back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay with us.
What if one day you could no longer speak, walk, feed yourself, or breathe without support, yet you could still think and feel every emotion? That day has already come for thousands of people with ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, a deadly disease with no cure or effective treatment.
ALS has already destroyed my ability to do many things I love, but with your help, we can find treatments and a cure. Join in the fight against ALS.
And join in the fight for hope. Visit actionals.org.
You were a kid once, right? Close your eyes. Okay, now imagine sunshine, grass, fresh air. Now open your eyes and meet Jordan. Last summer, he had an opportunity to experience all those wonderful things too, because a family like yours opened up their home and hearts to a child from New York City. Share the fun. Host a child this summer with the Fresh Air Fund.
I see this all the time. Homeowners searching for mortgage refinancing. Hey guys, you need some help?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Follow me. Come on. If you're underwater and current on your payments, it's your best route to a better mortgage. See if you qualify at harp.gov.
So we are just about ready to wrap up the show today. Liz, we'll put the website up on the screen one more time for people to go. What's on the website for people to see again?
Everything.
Yeah, you name it. See, there's the best description ever. Everything you could ever want is on the website. Go to it. Is that a good place for them to just get more questions answered? If
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a frequently asked questions section.
So, like, what would be a typical day for you, like, as a social worker? Is it always different for you, depending on what's going on?
It is always different.
And that's a good thing, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you able to frequently participate in a lot of the events that Jennifer was talking about in the first segment? You are? Okay, good.
We have a memorial service to honor the patients that have died within this past year coming up on the 21st.
Okay.
So.
All right, and I'm sure that as well as lots of other events are on the website too, correct? All right. Well, that is it. Liz Westcott, the Supervisor of Counseling Services for Center for Hospice Care of Southeast Connecticut. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of For the Record. You can see this show and many others on our YouTube site. I'm Sean Murphy. We will see you next time.